Hi, my name's Kathy Millett, and yet again another technique for rushes or bulrushes. So looking at the real world of rushes and reeds, and what do they look like? Well, they're massed and they create huge bodies normally, and a lot of the methods we've looked at in previous videos create one or two plants and really don't get this massed effect that you see on the edges of the waterways. I'm just going to use something this week that I bought years ago. You can tell that from the price, 49p, at a Hobbycraft or some other craft store. And it's just a very cheap looking, well, it's a plant material thing. We're going to say, how do you take something like this and make it look real so you can use it on your layout? It's quite expensive using some of the other methods I've shown in the last few weeks on videos, and you can see them here if you've missed them. But basically they can come out at several pounds a square inch, which isn't cheap at all. Something like this is much cheaper and much easier to use across a large distance. So this one's just got green, branchy type sort of structures. So we're going to try it. So the first up, this is the diorama that's going to have some extra resin poured in, and we'll do that later. But first of all, I've got a pair of scissors, which does just cut through, and I'm going to cut this into sections because that's way too tall, and I just need to make sure I don't cut too much of the greenery off. So if I just push some backwards and some forwards, and some of it's falling out already, which is always good, at the bottom, and it's just twisted in. So there we go. I literally just cut it into sections. And I can cut this one into 3. Put that back there. Some of the sections will have a little bit more to them than others, so it's just going to fit in there. Now, as with previous weeks, you can choose whether you use white glue or super glue. I'm actually going to use super glue because otherwise I won't get it to set upright properly. So this is going to have super glue, which I'm just putting into this. This is a McDonald's pot that you get to put your barbecue or tomato sauce in, and I've got some kicker. Now this is just there's hardly anything left in the bottle, and it didn't spray anymore, so I just literally just squeeze it into the tube, and then I can use it like a dropper. There we go. And kicker just sets CA straight away. So all I need to do is dip it in, get a little ball at the bottom. This is going to be covered by resin, so it doesn't matter if it's not too neat, and then put it in next to my other plants. Put a bit of kicker in, and it will stay there. And I'll just keep doing that with these other. The next ones will probably stay a bit on their own because the kicker stays for a little bit of a time. Now, when planting, 3s often look better, but sometimes you can't help how many you get. So there's a few going in, and I'll just put a few more along to fill out the gap along the back. So there we go, that's one pile in, and I'm also going to do it on my O-scale diorama just because it's looking a bit bare and patchy. And that's a much cheaper and easier way of doing an edge of undergrowth. So this was my cheapest method of doing rushes that we looked at, and I'm quite pleased with how it's turned out. Probably could do with being a little bit shorter, but I can trim them back down again with a pair of scissors when everything's dead set and solid. I think the resin's just still a bit wobbly, so I'm probably not going to risk it yet. So here's my reed. Needs a bit of tying in, I think. It looked good from a distance, but up close and personal, you can see the end where the material was bound on the stem of the spray of flowers that I used. I would trim them closer in future. And also you can see there's a sort of denting in the material that's used in that fibre, which it gives it a bit of life compared to the bulrushes on the right, which are just plastic injection moulded, but you might be able to get something better in your local hobby store. So in this week's episode of the Mini Cathys, they're all hiding from the rushes. Can't see anything. I think we're safe. Did the Mini Cathys escape? What was it that was after them? Tune in next week to find out. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you are enjoying it, then subscribe to me on YouTube or on my website, kathymillett.co.uk. Alternatively, like me on Facebook, Kathy Millett Modelling. See you next week.